Now, the coronavirus pandemic has hurt many workers across the economy, but the tourism industry has nearly completely lost its income. And unlike other sectors that have been supplemented and allowed to restart to a degree, tour guides and tourism-related companies have essentially been left to fend for themselves. So to get the attention they deserve from the Ministries of Finance and Tourism, many have now launched a hunger strike in front of the Knesset.
We are here in front of the Knesset protesting and raising awareness, and he's on the 8th day of his hunger strike, whereas I'm only on the 5th.
Tourism industry affects about 250,000 people in Israel, and it's the 6th largest income to this country. And if tourism will collapse, the country will collapse.
Joining us with more is Israeli tour guide Anat Harrel. Anat, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming in. Now, how are you and other tour guides, dealing with this crisis as of late, and are you receiving any assistance or grants?
Okay, so it's a very complicated issue because the tourism industry affects about 250,000 households in Israel, okay? Between bus drivers and people who sell at the market and restaurants and hotel employees and taxi drivers and so on. Tour guides are a very small part of that. We have about 3,000 tour guides in Israel who work exclusively with incoming tourism. We are dead in the water. I mean, we have had no income as of March. Wow. And the problem is that we don't see anything coming up. It's going to be at least a year before we have any substantial income from tourism.
So you're saying, are we comparing that now with, some European countries who have maybe started to open up their gates a little bit? In Israel, you foresee this continuing, dead in the water for a year?
Well, see, if I could predict when it will come, I'll make $1 million, right? The problem is no one really knows. And what we want, what we demand, what we're asking for, begging the government for is a plan. Okay, sit with us to bring us to the table. We know the tourists that we work with. We have contacts all over the world. We have the contacts that we need in order to encourage smaller families to arrive and restart the process. The problem is no one's talking to us. No one is bringing us to the table to say, let's make a plan together. Once we have a plan, we know how long it's going to be.
What about, local tourism? Because I know that the government started encouraging, a month or so ago, Israelis to travel a little bit.
So tour guides in Israel are divided into two groups. Those that work with incoming tourism, and we are dead in the water, and those who work with internal tourism, which is wonderful. They guide school kids, they guide Israelis because Israelis love to travel. So Israelis now are traveling a lot inside of Israel, but it's not the same tour guides who are doing this. Israeli tour guides who guide Israelis do it in Hebrew and they do different things. We, the incoming tourism tour guides, work with a different community, and it's a completely different thing.
Well, I'm sure even locally the business is hurting.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we saw earlier some tour guides who are on a hunger strike. Have they heard any official response? Have they received any response?
No, not really. It's only been in the last couple of days that several Knesset members stepped out of the Knesset and came across the street and sat down with them to talk. Wow. And one of the most fascinating things is that Peter, the one who started the hunger strikes, this past Sunday, which was yesterday, he actually stopped the hunger strike and went on reserve duty. He has to complete his reserve duty to serve the country that he's protesting with a hunger strike. And then when he's done with the reserve duty, he's going to come back on hunger strike. All we want is to be paid attention to. Help us out because we are the face of Israel. We are the Israeli ambassadors that meet tourism or the tourists when they come into the country.
All right, now what solutions in the interim at least do you offer that are enabling you to continue to work at least a little bit and to get some sort of income? There
is no work. I mean, we don't have any work right now. So right now we've been paying taxes, we've been paying Social Security all through this time. I mean, meaning that's what we do. We're self-employed and we're sometimes salaried. But tour guides are divided into different groups, those that work on a salary, those that work with invoices, those that have their own touring cars. Each one of us has a different category in the tax ministry, okay? And so there are tour guides who have received nothing for 4 months, no help. We want every one of us to give us help, let us breathe, at least maintain us above water, because if not, we're not going to survive.
Anat Harrel, thank you so much for shedding a light on this.
Thank you for this.